All right, welcome to Brackets and Bets NCAA Tournament Preview. I'm Jay Croucher. He's Vaughn Dalzell. Also joined by Drew Dinsick on the line. We're going to talk about the top seeds in the bracket. And we're going to start off with the South region and Alabama. Vaughn, what do you make of this?
Well, I'm really excited about this Alabama team. Obviously, SEC champs. They got Brandon Miller, who I think is the best scorer in the entire country, and he's a freshman, SEC Player of the Year as well. But looking at what they got to go through here, I love the path for them because Charleston could upset San Diego State, Furman could upset Virginia, NC State could get Creighton, UC Santa Barbara could get Baylor. This South region is nuts. I see a lot of upsets. The best team with the best path is actually the 2 seed, Arizona in my opinion, but Alabama has a very good path to getting all the way to the Sweet 16 or beyond. What do you think, Drew?
I think Alabama got a cherry draw. I mean, overall, this tournament has the feel of sort of wide open to me. I think this is going to be more of a, kind of bracket buster situations than we have in years past. The 1 seeds really are pretty weak overall. And Alabama, I thought, got a pretty cherry draw here. Just there's not a lot of other elite schools that you think can, kind of threaten for a title in their region. Particularly, I see the 2 and the 3 seed as vulnerable. I see the 4 seed as vulnerable. In fact, the second best team that I rate here in the South is San Diego State. I know that you think they may be vulnerable to an upset against College of Charleston, but if they come through that head-to-head, I have San Diego State as just about as likely to get to the Final Four as Alabama. I think Utah State could ruin the party for Arizona, and I think ultimately this is a pretty wide-open, weak region where you're going to see some high seeds in the Sweet 16. So, if given a choice, I'm going to take San Diego State, and I'm going to do a little bit of I wish we had a better opportunity to fade Alabama. I wish they were going up against a team that could really shoot the lights out from 3 because they have some pretty significant issues in terms of defense. In particular, creating turnovers where if they find themselves at a deficit in any surprise head-to-heads, then this is a team that I'm concerned is not going to be able to get back into a game. And that's kind of the key for 1 seeds finding their way out of the tournament in recent years.
Yeah, also wouldn't be surprised if we see an early exit from the 3 seed Baylor. I think they're very vulnerable, maybe even in round 1 against UC Santa Barbara. All right, let's go to the Midwest, headlined by Houston, arguably the best team in the country. What do you make of this bracket?
Well, Marcus Sasser is out for Houston. He's probably going to miss the first game, maybe the second game in round of 32, which is very crucial for them. And last year, Marcus Sasser was out for Houston's entire NCAA tournament push, so it'll be key to see how they turn around here. But I love the second round matchup for those Auburn Tigers against Houston if they survive against the Iowa Hawkeyes. I think Auburn has a great matchup to win that first round game and potentially upset Houston. But if you watch anything NBC has done lately, we like the Drake Bulldogs against Miami. So there's a lot of teams on this list that I feel like can actually make a run here. And once again, I feel like the 1 seed is not the best team in this region. That would be the 2 seed, the Texas Longhorns. What do you think, Drew?
Interesting. So I make Houston among the 1 seeds the most likely to get through to the Final Four, and that's a problem for everyone else in this bracket because if you didn't already know, the Final Four is taking place in Houston, Texas. So basically, you could have all of the other teams coming into a home court kind of a feel for the Cougars. Now, that said, they have a couple of tough matchups, and you mentioned an injury that they're dealing with to a key player. However, the Midwest does have sort of my team that really, really, really stands out as a Cinderella. You have a double-digit seed in Drake as the 12, who I make likely to win against Miami in round 1, like better than 50% by a decent amount. And then I love the matchup for Drake against either the winner of Indiana or Kent State. So Drake penciling them into a Sweet 16 head-to-head against Houston. I think that's going to be potentially one of the better games of the entire Sweet 16 because those teams match up extremely well. Now, Houston, if you're going to get concerned, the issues for them are tempo. If they get into a faster-paced game, kind of playing out of their comfort zone, they could find conditions a little bit difficult. That really would only manifest against a team like Texas in the Elite Eight or potentially the winner of the West in the Final Four. So ultimately, Houston is not my champion for this bracket because I do think the elite teams can beat them. However, I do have them as the most likely 1 seed to get to the Final Four, and it's the only 1 seed that I have in the Final Four.
Yeah, a lot of support for Drake in particular. I think that they opened as 3.5-point dogs against Miami. I think we all think that is wrong and will probably close smaller. So they're definitely a team to watch.
Agreed.
Let's go to the West, headlined by Kansas, who've got a lot of question marks, a lot going on with Kansas obviously. Hope that Bill Self is okay. What do you make of the West region, Vaughn?
Yeah, well, certainly that's the biggest deal is what's going on with Bill Self, but he should be back for some game. Probably not the first game against Howard, but who needs him against Howard, right? They should be able to handle themselves there. But the rest of this bracket's very interesting because you got a UConn Huskies team who's playing arguably the best basketball of the season for them right now. You got UCLA, who's injured here at the bottom of the bracket, but still played Arizona very tough in the Pac-12. But you have my favorite team as that 3 seed, Jay. Gonzaga Bulldogs, #1 team since February and since March in Bartorovic's rankings. #1 offensive efficiency team. I think they are the best team in this bracket right now. And I think Kansas, as they look to repeat, they've been given the worst bracket to try and make a run. Teams like VCU, St. Mary's, UConn, TCU, Gonzaga, all these teams can give Kansas a run. So I'm going to fade the Jayhawks in their chance for a repeat and take the Gonzaga Bulldogs out of this section. What do you think, Drew?
Yeah, kind of funny that the tournament committee decided we do not want a repeat champion. They gave Kansas by far the toughest region. The West is the region of death, if you hadn't already figured that out. You have 4 of the top 7 in terms of current form, with Kansas, UConn, Gonzaga, and UCLA potentially making up one of the more spectacular Sweet 16 group of 4 that we have seen in a long time. If you haven't already got your tickets to Vegas, I'm shopping for tickets today, honestly, because that is going to be must-watch basketball. And I see those 4 teams as pretty evenly ranked, but I completely get the enthusiasm that Vaughn has for Gonzaga. Gonzaga's not going to have to travel much. They're going from Washington to Sacramento to Las Vegas, which is a particularly comfortable path. The committee did them a very, very solid favor, considering probably a little bit of a respect for how well they're playing lately. But UConn for me is the team that I would be the most concerned about if I were the 1 seed Kansas Jayhawks. UConn absolutely has top level talent and has put together stretches of basketball this season where they have been the clear -- team from the way you look at some of the advanced statistics. So that is, I think, where the dance ends for this defending champion Kansas team. And if they prove me wrong, so be it. But I think their national championship run ends in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, feels like some of these teams should have been put in the South. Make that a little bit more interesting. What a mess of a region to get through. All right, let's close out with the East headline, Vaughn by Purdue, who I don't think anyone really likes at the moment.
No, not me. I know you. I've been on them all year saying fade Purdue, but they got the 1 seed. And they did deserve it because UCLA did lose to Arizona and got some injury issues. So no surprise that Purdue got this. They have arguably the best player in the country in Zach Edey. I said I like Brandon Miller as the best scorer, but Edey's probably the best player here. I think Purdue could be upset in round 2, Jay. Memphis, gritty, defensive, lengthy, athletic. They got it all, and they can match up with Purdue. And then you got Florida Atlantic, who has a 7'1" center. Who's going to match up with a 7'4" Zach Edey? A 7'1" center for FAU. So I love the chance Purdue gets knocked off here in this second round before they even reach the Sweet 16. Out of the rest of the conference, I'm looking at Louisiana as a potential upset team to make a run. Drew may not like hearing Oral Roberts, but that's a team that's starting to get some money coming back in the market. And then if you're looking for a potential sleeper, the 11 seeds have been nothing but money the past couple years against 6 seeds. If Providence beats Kentucky, I won't even know what to make of this, but this is March, so expect something crazy like that to happen. Drew, what do you like out of this region? And tell me it's not Purdue.
It's not Purdue. In fact, the Big Ten consistently gets more respect than they deserve. It was a down year for the conference overall, and I get it. Zach Edey is amazing. He had an incredible college career. He was the clear best player in the country this year. However, Purdue is way, way too reliant on him for the entirety of their offense. And, oh, by the way, Purdue has sort of the kind of kiss of death in terms of advanced statistics when it comes to a team that can avoid the upset. They are very, very slowly paced, 330th in the country in terms of tempo, and they have a very, very, very tough time creating turnovers. So if they find themselves up against a hot shooting team, which could very well happen in the second round, Purdue's going to be out early. I think that the 1 seeded Purdue is kind of the sharp The sharp players have all been very excited about finding ways to fade these guys. And ultimately, this is probably going to be a chalky round one. I don't see many of the lower seeded teams with realistic chances to come away with upsets here. So if there is one region where we have mega chalk prevail and you have all of the top seeded teams in round two, it is the East. However, that is, I think, where the chalk ends. You could have a very, very interesting, second round matchup between Tennessee and Duke. Clash of styles there. Tennessee a little bit underseeded as the 4 seed. I think everyone would kind of agree they probably deserved a 2 or a 3 seed based on their resume this season, but Duke playing extremely well right now. Can't discount them. And I think ultimately that region is going to be decided by some of the lower seeds in the likes of Duke, Tennessee, Kentucky, or even Kansas State and Marquette.
Okay, don't even bother showing up, Purdue. It's all over for you. All right, for more coverage of the NCAA tournament, you can check out the NBC Sports YouTube channel and NBCSportsEdge.com.